Apa khabar semua?
Waalaikumsalam.
Salam, Doktor.
Okey.
Salam, Doktor.
Macam mana puasa okey semua? Sahur tak?
Sahur.
Sahur apa? Sahur apa? Roti ke?
Kurma.
Oi.
Kurma je? Mana boleh tahan? Habis sempat tak beli makanan? Ada jual tak makanan?
Ada.
Ada Okey, you all still young lah, boleh tahan kan? Tak sahur pun okey ya. Tapi kena sahur lah, bagi takut gastrik nanti Alright class, this is second week lah. Second week, I hope that you all go through lah my YouTube So dalam YouTube tu ada homework kan? Ada homework. So next week nanti saya nak minta seorang present informal just present whatever you have read, you present depan kita semua, kita share information. So the first week introduction, and then I talking about the syllabus today, and also there is homework homework for you to homework for you to go through systematic review OT in return to work. So you all baca tak systematic review return to work from OT perspektifnya. So situ ada 4 kan yang fulfill the inclusion criteria. So not much in being recorded lah, being reported in term of OT in return to work and then there is also intervention by pilot study by Hong Kong OT management in return to work. That one also very good article where they come out with the ideal concept in return to work. In return to work, kalau you tengok sini, okey sekejap lagi I share. Share. Oh, dah share screen kan? Belum lagi So share screen, kalau you tengok, okay, baca all the, kalau you tengok sini, homework ni. Injury management in Hong Kong. Hong Kong ni, they come up with how to manage injury. How to manage injury by what? They're using the simulation. The people that involved in the study is a background of OT and PT. One thing kalau tengok situ. Ni So this article talking about injury management in Hong Kong ni. Dia punya background OT and physio. So there is a process kan. There is a process kalau you tengok proses dia ni, which is the ideal lah. Proses dia ini kan. Ni proses dia. So injured person be interviewed, then they do FCE, functional capacity evaluation, and also they assess the job duties. And then they do work site visit and assessment. So people who having issue of do not meet job demand, they do work hardening. Then and then they do job matching. Then they return to work, whether it probably previous employer or alternate employer. So at workplace, they do either job modification, they do job modification. Some of them can do previous job duties with modification. Some of them they change their job duties, alternate job duties, with sometimes with job modification. So this is the ideal process, and the study found that there is a significant difference in terms of people who undergone conventional and workers that undergone this approach, case management. In terms of lost time injuries, leave, and also the cost. Dia dapat reduce the cost. Kalau you baca tu tidak ni artikel ni? Baca tak? Tak baca, senyap je semua ni. Kena bacalah kan. I dah bagi homework tu. Homework tu untuk baca. So introduction also I come up with the OT theory. OT theory, MOHO, PEO, and also COPM. Ini our own OT model theory lah. That's why manual yang ada ni, kalau talking about model theory, for example, kalau I introduce Kawa River model, there is a shortcoming because Kawa River model tak ada banyak assessment. MOHO banyak assessment. COPM ada 1-2 lah, tapi dia kadang-kadang dia combine dengan MOHO. So that's why we have to appreciate the model of human occupation ni. Banyak manual yang dibuat in term of manual assessment. So dalam lab yang you tengah bincang ni, itu semua banyak MOHO, AWP, apa lagi, WASE, MOHOS, all that from MOHO. ICF ni universal, from WHO. Okay. So that one lecture apa ni? Lecture 1, introduction to OT. So ada soalan dalam introduction ni? Kelas? Dia pula yang
ada doktor, setakat ni okey.
Okey Alhamdulillah. So kalau ada apa-apa, just highlight to me lah. Jangan diam, pendam perasaan ni. Lagi-lagi bulan puasa ni jangan so that why we use Microsoft Teams. Biasa Google Meet kan. Why? Because ni Google Meet ni just 1 hour. Dia tak boleh lebih. So sekarang kita punya lecture lebih 1 hour. Ni ada lagi yang nak masuk ni. Husna mana pula ni? Ada 2 Husna ni. So before that, I dah introduction tu dalam record tu dah highlight apa ni syllabus kan. Sekarang I akan highlight you all. Sebelum I start lecture ni, I highlightkan lesson plan ni. Lesson plan. Nampak tak semua? Nampak?
Nampak.
Oh, this is 3 credit now. 3 credit, OCT 497, OT in return to work. So at the end of the course ni, you are able to evaluate theory, approaches, procedures, evidence-based in return to work. So all these things very important. And then the second one, you are able to demonstrate the different types of assessment and intervention skill in return to work. So in work ni, there's a lot of assessment tools. So you need to understand the punya theoretical, dia punya construct dia, macam mana dibuat tu. And then dia punya analysis. And then from that, be able to come out with your plan, intervention plan in return to work. Then case management. Case management very important for various conditions. That's why dalam I punya topik ini akan share how to manage case, different cases lah. So test 1, 25%. Test 2, 25%. Practical exam ni 30%. A lot. Practical exam ni a lot, 30%. Then presentation 20%. Ada yang tak masuk lagi ke you? Okay, semua dah. Okay. And then buku ni ada buku ni kalau you nak ni, talking about, tapi tak banyak, dia just one chapter. And there is a book I dapat ni, I beli dekat buku ni, I beli dekat Australia dulu, 2006. Term driver rehab ni, community mobility, purpose and practice. Kalau you nak, you boleh pinjam kat saya lah. Tapi belum sampai lagi lah ni. So kita try buat online dulu. Kalau tak boleh, rasa tak selesa, you all tak selesa, kalau you nak buat apa ni, face to face, no problem. In term of lecture lah. Lab ni kita face to face. Last week bagus, semua hadir. This week FCE. I'm going to talk about FCE. Then you all dalam lab ni present in group kan. Present 15 to 20 minutes about the MAHOS, about the waste, about the AWP, about the ICF. So this is the manual from MAHOS. Then from ICF ni also we need to know, because this ICF is a universal punya approach. So we need to understand, because sometimes we have to work in team. Then work conditioning and work hardening. So in terms of work, very important, we need to understand what is work conditioning, work hardening. Then I will teach you all in lab, BTE primers and work cube. And then before job analysis, hazard management, how we manage hazard, how we identify hazard. So in this topic, how we analyze job, very important. We need to analyze job because of what? Because we are conducting return to work. Probably the job is hazardous, can cause recurrent injuries. That's why we analyze the job. And then hazard. When they return to work, they encounter hazard. So how are we going to manage hazard? Then lab, there is a Joule and lifting technique. This cover 2 weeks ni. Joel ni 2 weeks nanti you all akan tengok lah. Joel Then stress management. So very important. We need to understand stress at work. As an OT also, we manage, we conduct we have to educate, we have to counseling dengan workers in terms of stress. And then week 6, occupational rehab and ergonomic. We have to know. So occupational rehab is OT work at industry. And there is OT doing work at industry, not hospital only. Some of the established company, they have these. Sorry. Tukar pula dia. Sekejap ya guys. Oh, silap lah. Okay, and then this one, occupational rehab, OT working in an industry, in company. So you have to know how rehab be conducted at workplace ni, and also ergonomic. So this one link together. So people, OT work in industry. The niche of OT must have knowledge in ergonomics. Kalau you work at industry. And then there is a health and safety promotion. How you conduct health and safety promotion whenever, wherever, and di mana saja you bekerja ni, you have to have a safety, health and safety promotion. You do. So to avoid injuries, to avoid fatalities. So you need to understand this health safety theory lah. And then driver rehab. Driver rehab is a very big approach, OT approach. People who were having accident, then they have to do assessment. And then we have lab, Walpa work sample ni 2 weeks. So ni after you have mid-semester break, so you will have 5 week ni. Last week dah tamat lah, first week. Before Hari Raya celebration. So mid-semester break ni. Selamat Hari Raya. Jangan lupa balik sini bawa kuih. Kuih raya kan. Boleh kita berhari raya. So Walpa work sample. Ni cover 2 weeks ni. Walpa ni banyak. So you need to understand. Then TIPAL. TIPAL also very important for you. Apa tu TIPAL? Therapist Portable Assessment Lab. So Walpa ni, TIPAL ni more on upper limb and also who having neurological problem. So the punya work task is more on upper limb and they use perception, cognitive, all that. TIPAL. Then I will talk about vocational. Then cuti khas lagi. Cuti khas apa ni, perayaan. Gawai, kalau saya tak silap saya ni cuti gawai. Raya Haji. Okey, Raya Haji. Kemudian week 9 block 3 vocational rehab, then we sambung TIPAL ni. Then vocational training employment for autism. Bagi talk this lebih kepada case management. Sekarang ni banyak popular tentang autism kan, autism adolescent. So I masukkan autism adolescent ni dalam topik ini. Dan ada pre-vocational assessment. So pre-vocational assessment ni banyak alat dia kita boleh buat. you all boleh guna. Then return to work for cardiac. Then return to work for spinal cord injuries. Then driver assessment. Driver rehab, driver assessment. Kita buat 2 minggu. Bagus sebenarnya selepas hari raya, selepas puasa lah. Sebab kita nak buat di field Then return to work for mental illness, return to work. Then dalam minggu 14 ni, ada problem based scenario. Problem ni kita akan bagi scenario, case, then you all present. How you manage the case ni, problem based. Okay, kelas ada soalan? So ada test 1, test 2 ni sampai minggu ke-8 lah. Buat test 1. Dan ujung minggu 14 ni ada test 2. Kemudian kita ada practical exam. Practical exam ni dalam exam week lah. Presentation ni, I akan bagi you, you kena buat satu file in group. Maintain group you. Dalam file tu masukkan penilaian. 2 orang penilaian. So kalau ada group presentation, I bagi terus markah kat presentation. So dia kumulatif lah. You print dalam 10 keping ke kan. Buat file cantik-cantik. Bila present, nanti I bagi markah terus. Nanti sekejap lagi saya share dalam WhatsApp ni. So, practical exam kita akan conduct dalam exam week Julai, Ogos ni, between 25th Julai. Kalau boleh kita buat cepat lah. Sebab dan dalam practical exam ni akan ada model. Kita akan cari model dan then you demonstrate peralatan, you plan intervention, guna peralatan yang sedia ada. Dan kita bagi markah 30% ni, tinggi ni. Tinggi. Ada bunyi-bunyi ni, apa hal ni? Okey, kelas okey. Ada soalan tentang ni? Dah masuk dah. Kenapa Aida masuk lambat? Aida?
Saya terkeluar tadi, doktor. Dah masuk lama dah.
Ya.
Lepas tu terkeluar balik.
Terkeluar, okey. So, semua dah masuk ni, 47 orang. So, ada soalan kelas? Regarding our syllabus ni?
Tak ada. Tak ada.
Faham Okey. Ini Syafiq. Safiyah ni nak request to join. Mana? Okey, dah masuk Alright. Okay, class, untuk today topic, I talking about functional capacity evaluation. So why we have to use FCE? FCE. Why we want to do FCE for case return to work? Because we want to understand what are their status right now compared to dia punya pre-injury. Before injury, after injury, what are their FC, their functional capacity. So this is very important for us to predict people return to work for injured worker. So that's why we use FCE. For example, in the picture ni, kan, kalau you tengok this guy, dia punya job task dia, job demand dia, moving the drum. So moving the drum, he have to use his upper limb, lower limb, standing, kan? You have to use his trunk, movement. So we need to understand what are their current capacity, functional capacity. When talk about functional, something that indicate dynamic activity. Dia bukan dalam keadaan statik, dalam keadaan dynamic. Ini ada pergerakan. That's why they mention functional, able to function at the workplace. So that's why we have to have understanding in terms of how to do FCE. So this is my outline. Introduction, the process doing FCE, example different type of student for FCE, case study, ada dua case study ni, amputee and also stroke patient. I highlight kat sini. The stroke patient. So American Medical Association (AMA) has stated, in general, it is not possible for a physician using medical information alone to make reliable prediction about an individual's ability to perform tasks or to meet functional demand. So, when talk about individual ability, they are unable to predict. Okay, they are very good in prescribing drugs, kan, medication, surgery, but they unable to predict individuals' ability, whether they meet or not their functional demand. So there's some equipment able to measure. The equipment must be reliable, valid, to measure individuals' ability. So this is from American Medical Association. They highlight. Doctor cannot just simply say patient can perform light duty, kan? Kerja ringan je. What ringan punya kerja, kan? So they already declare. We cannot just predict people ability. We need to assess. We have to do FCE. So before we doing FCE, we have to understand patient condition, the diagnosis. So you cannot blind your eyes. Do FCE. You have to know what are the diagnosis of the patient. For example, patient got paraplegia, fracture, arthritis ke, kan? Stroke ke, all that. You need to understand, because you need to match, kan? You need to match with the symptom and also the condition or the current capacity. Is it the match with the diagnosis? So you, as a therapist, sometimes you don't understand the condition. You have to go through to the Google ke, kan? Medical dictionary or that. That is the way we understand the diagnosis, the condition. And then you need to understand the severity, whether the disability or permanent or temporary. For example, temporary disability, what is it? Someone can someone tell me in terms of temporary disability, apa dia? For example, what condition? For example, siapa? Apa you? Kuat sikit. Fracture tadi
Fracture.
good. Fracture, kan? Yang contoh crack ke, fracture, yang bukannya yang worst case lah, yang teruk kadang-kadang permanent juga kan. Tapi yang simple fracture, contoh macam ligament sprain, muscle sore pain kan, muscle sore kan, pain. That one temporary. So you can see their progress tu. Some of the case is permanent. For example, ada slip disc kan, slip disc, but doctor already buat surgery, dia bagi fusion kat dia punya vertebra. Although he have permanent disability, but sometimes dia recover. Dia boleh recover. I pernah buat testing dengan mereka yang ada spinal fusion. Dia ada slip disc. Doktor dah buat surgery dan sebagainya. Dah fuse dah. Guna besi. So that one we need to understand. Lost time injuries. Lost time injuries is medically due to injuries. Due to injuries, for example, in the injured at workplace, they have to take leave because of the injuries. We need to understand, because the more the people having lost time injuries, very difficult for them to go back to work. Kalau cuti off work ni lama sangat. Contoh macam PKP ni kan. PKP lama sangat. Tak jumpa you all. Dah biasa duduk rumah je. Nak balik kerja dah susah. Kan? Lecturer pun susah macam tu juga. Nak balik kerja susah. Dah lama sangat cuti. Sampai pension. Macam Cik Kamal tengok, pension terus. Dah biasa duduk rumah, dah seronok kan ni. Lost time injuries, leave due to the injuries. Theories, you need to understand theories, model of practice, theory behind. Sometimes the theory being used, you need to adapt the theory kan. Kadang teori tu tak boleh pakai pada certain culture individu. Teori ni berbagai teori kan. Contoh macam spiral theory. Spiral theory talking about readiness to work. You need to understand spiral theory more on the psychological aspect. More on psychology of the person, whether they're ready or not to go to work. Laser contohnya, laser. You pernah dengar kan laser kan? Laser semua pernah tak?
Pernah.
So
Pernah.
laser for what? They using spiral theory, laser ni. So laser to assess psychology of the patient who are injured due to the injuries kan? Musculoskeletal injuries ke, accident ke, kan? But not for assessing patient untuk case psychiatric. Psychiatric dia issue dia bukannya injuries. Dia ada mental disorder. Mental disorder. Dia tak sesuai guna laser. Especially patient yang poor insight. Kan? Ini talking about psychology. Dia bukan masalah mental. Talking about injuries. Itu kadang-kadang terapis tak faham, dia tengok laser ni, dia tak tahu macam mana laser ni develop ni. So dia belasah je. Tak boleh lah. Patient tu poor insight psychiatric. Mana boleh guna laser. So you need to understand. You as a degree student, in terms of theoretical or that, you must be much better. So, and then availability of instrument and tools. Before you do FCE, some of the instrument you are unable to have macam joule, macam primers, That one advanced tools yang mahal, real time punya result. Sometimes for me, for example, you cannot use instrument primers, tapi you ada guna apa AWP, assessment work performance. That one can be used. Assessment work performance, you come out with the apa task, then you have observe dia punya apa dia panggil, dia punya proses, dia punya motor, skill, dan juga dia punya communication and interaction. Sebab tak ada peralatan. So you come up with the so availability of instrument and tools also very important. So when talk about FCE, systematic process design to assess client functional ability. So you need to come up with the when talk about FCE is something that very systematic. Dalam contoh macam Joel tu dia ada protokol dia. Ada protokol dia, ada how to apa the approach dia ni. Kalau you buat aktiviti guna Joel ni, FCE, sometimes apa ni patient need to be referred and then to be given consent. Dia tak boleh sembarangan buat, sebab dia ada kesan. Kemungkinan patient injury balik, recurrent injury, all that. At the same time, not only dia punya physical capacity, functional ability, but also we need to include also psychology abilities. So when they do work ni, they have they are using all this process skill in terms of involve cognitive, emotional, and also communication, interaction abilities. So when we do FCE, so we need to include in terms of process and also interaction, communication. And then there is two performance categories. Two performance categories include general evaluation of physical ability and also evaluation of job specific abilities. Physical abilities ni apa? You all dah belajar, okay? First year, second. Job specific abilities. There are two things. So we need to do also physical ability, for example, dia punya strength, use dynamometer, pincer grip. So you buat, they call it physical abilities. And then job specific abilities, the job that really simulate dia punya job demand. They call it job specific abilities. For example, in our lab, we have Joule, TPAL, Walpa work sample. That is job specific abilities. Job specific abilities, the job that simulate dia punya job demand. They call it job specific abilities. Sometimes need further evaluation for long term or severe illness. Sometimes ada case yang ada behavioral problem. Behavioral problem. Dia ada masalah motivation, discipline. Sometimes you cannot do 1 to 2 times ni. Sebab you buat FCE ni, you want to determine dia punya status. Dia punya functional ability status right now. Because you want to, either you want to plan to return to work, or you want to plan conditioning, hardening for them. Sometimes you need to do 2 to 3 day times because they are having symptom yang severe, behavioral problem. Some of them have severe illness. people yang ada severe illness ni, they usually affect their rule and routine. So for example, I got case warden perempuan ni. So warden perempuan ni dia experience stroke, stroke case ni. So bila buat conditioning, wardening for this case, she's improved a lot. She improved a lot. Dia dah boleh independent do job. However, bila nak return to work ni, majikan tak trust her. Pasal majikan biasa, dia nak senang kerja, dia pandang dari segi fizikal kan. Dia memanglah jalan dia stroke patient kan. Dia ada gait tak stable jalan kaki limping. Tapi dia bolehlah buat kerja kan. Tapi dia bagi job sebagai warden ni, dia usually buat rutin, buat timetable. Dia bagi photostat machine. So rutin yang tak kena, rule yang tak kena pada kes ni. So this case bila nak balik kerja dia rasa depressed. Dia tak motivate sebab kerja dia bukan kerja sebenar kan. Jadi office boy kan. Photostat machine, photostat copy bila dia suruh sebab dia tak mainkan peranan dia, rule and routine harian sebagai warden. So all these things you have to look into. Functional capacity is an umbrella. So when you do functional capacity is a way, it's all the thing lah. Because all the thing, for example, when you buat work visit ni, you want to understand dia punya job demand ni. Kalau you tak buat FCE, macam mana you nak mesh kan? Macam you nak buat job analysis, you nak come out with the plan untuk dia buat work trial. So it's like something which is very important. You want to simulate do simulated work assessment. So this is the basic thing to do. The baseline lah, bukan basic, baseline for everything. Functional capacity. So at Hong Kong, you can see that before they start other thing kan, before they start doing work hardening, vocational training ke, job matching, all that. So the first thing they do, they did FCE. This is the process. So whenever you work at rehab center, emphasize on this FCE. So you have to do FCE first. So this is the ideal process. So dalam kajian dia punya ni, biasa OT buat job duties. So occupational therapist doing all this, you know what, FCE ni, physiotherapist also can do. However, we try to claim lah, whenever you go, this job for OT. Because of what? Because there is a specific job ability that we need to assess in terms of FCE. Not only dia punya physical demand, but job specific requirement, kan? So ada work simulation or that. So this the actually jangan, kalau you cerita tak boleh kata OT saja patut buat. Tapi you kena highlightkan why important the FCE should be done by OT. So job analysis, so dalam when we doing FCE, we need to do job analysis. Job analysis. We going down there, their workplace. Because we want to, why we want to do job analysis? Because we want to match their current capacities, whether they can perform or not. Because you assess the current capacity of their function. Okay? So we have to match whether our FCE, whether the person can return to work to their previous job demand. So that's why we have to do job analysis. Okay. This is an example job demand and analysis. For example, when talk about in USA they have this dictionary of occupational title, DOT. So in USA they have dipanggil occupational analyst. Dia buat analisa different type of job ni. So dalam dia punya apa ni, they call it factor lah. Factor. There is a they call it physical demand. Physical demand ni banyak. Banyak. So dia buat kajian. Every work ni ada physical demand. So there is indicator. There is indicator. They call it never, occasional, frequent, constant. NOFC. So every work, what are the physical demand needed? In term of standing, berapa persen? Kalau constant ni more than 22.5 hours. So they calculate kalau constant ni more than 2.5 hours. 2.5 jam, constant. So you see that in terms of standing, walking, lifting, carrying, handling, near acuity, ni pandangan, near acuity ni pandangan. Dia vision, far acuity or near acuity. So dalam job demand ni, for example, carpenters. Dia buat analisis, for example, carpenters. Carpenter ni orang buat carpet, kan? So physical demand dia, standing tak ada. Standing bukan. Kan standing ni constant. Frequent, below 2.5 hours, ni around occasional 25 minutes. Ni never zero. So dia tengok sini, kalau standing untuk carpenter, occasional, frequent, constant, walking. Occasional walking yang banyak ni, kan? 46.7%. Tapi occasional ni about 25 minutes. Tak banyak lah dia jalan. Lifting frequent 25 minutes to 2.5 hours. And then carrying ni yang banyak, 25 minutes to 2.5 hours. Handling new acuity yang banyak. You see, new acuity 25 minutes to 2.5 hours, 80%. So this is an example tentang job demand and analysis. When they analyze the job demand, they're looking at the they're looking at the punya indicator, indicator NOFC. Okay, this is the indicator dia. Constant ni tengok sini. So indicator dia ni 8 hour working day. Dia calculate 8 hour working day. So occasional below 1/3 of an 8 hour work daily. Frequent 1/3 below 1/3 to 2/3. Constant 2/3 and above. So this is the indicator when they do job analysis. at USA, they're looking at the physical demand of the job. This is an example job of carpenter. Carpenter ni karpet, buat karpet ni. You boleh go through this online ni. Macam mana dia buat analysis of that ni. So another thing, that one lebih kepada dalam kalau you tengok job analysis lebih kepada frequency, frequency. This one more on frequency. Kita nak tengok frekuensi dia dalam masa 8 jam, physical demand ni. So another thing, they looking at the load, the intensity. Intensity dalam physical demand level ni, DOT ni, they looking at the intensity. Intensity. Sebab apa you kena faham ni? Sebab dalam apa you punya nanti work sample that, you need to understand this. They looking at the intensity, which is load. Load ni. So kalau very heavy, more than 45 kilos. Heavy, dia punya indicator dia 35 to 45 kilos. Medium, 10 to 25. Light, 5 to 10. Mainly sedentary, up to 5. So people yang kerja office work, sedentary lah. Biasa dia angkat file ke not more than 5 kilo. So people yang kerja construction ni biasanya 25 to 45 kilo. Yang more than 45 kilo ni ada banyak. Ada pekerjaan yang very heavy. Angkat baja kan. Satu baja tu, satu pack tu 50 kilo. So people yang kerja angkat baja ni dia more than 45 kilo. So physical demand ni dia buat analisis, job analysis based on the intensity, which is load, and also dia punya frequency, NOFCE. So when talk about FCE, the first thing we need to understand, very important, the client job demand. Because you want to assess current capacity of the worker that relate to the job demand. And the job demand dia, kalau dia ada walking, standing, kneeling, lifting, carrying, itulah job demand dia. So you need to understand dia punya job demand. Then you also need to understand client's medical condition and symptom. So all these things, which is very important, dia punya condition, dia punya symptom tu. Client self-report, written job description. Kadang-kadang ada company dia buat job description of the worker. So sometimes we need to interview employer, majikan dia. Then sometimes we do on-site job analysis to understand dia punya job demand tu. And then you need to describe symptom and grade on the intensity. Symptom penyakit dia, dia punya kadang-kadang dia ada pain. Dia ada discomfort, kan? Pain tu di mana? Berapa dia punya intensity? Then also you need to understand dia client punya solution. Sometimes client ni, dia tak nak balik kerja. Dia nak dapat pampasan, kan? So, very difficult lah. Very difficult for us to really assess whether the patient FCE dia bagus or not. Kadang itu yang masalahnya. Dia cuma nak dapat report kita. So very dangerous also. Kadang-kadang dia manipulative. You need to understand off work dia, lost time injuries, because ada effect you punya assessment. This one regarding job description. You need to understand dia punya job demand. So job demand dia based on the job description and also job demand. Job description ni contoh registered nurse ni. Nurse ni registered nurse directed patient assistant ni, assistant nurse ni dalam 40% kerja dia transport patient to appointment, clinic ward, assist with lifting and positioning, assist patient with showering, assist with feeding patient, cleaning and refilling water jug, preparing and delivering snack meals, breakfast. So this job description dia, we have to know the job demand. Kalau dia cakap transport patient ni melibatkan apa? Pushing. Dia tolak pesakit kan? Dia tolak pushing wheelchair of the patient. Berapa kilo diperlukan? Berapa force diperlukan? Kalau lifting, assist lifting and positioning patient, berapa load dia? Ni talking about intensity kan? Occasional. So di sini you tengok job demand ni, occasional kan? NOFC, occasional is about 1/3, not more than 1/3 of 8 hours. So berat dia 25 kilo. Kalau 25 kilo, 25 kilo medium. Job demand dia medium. Occasional sustain bending, occasional forward reaching, occasional unilateral carrying, lifting to 2 kilos. Occasional bilateral carrying up to 5 kilo. Unilateral satu tangan. Bilateral both of the limb. So this is the way when talk about understanding job description of the client. So you need to do interview patient to detect in term of dia punya intensity and also dia punya frequency. Intensity whether occasional ke frequent, constant. This intensity load dia berapa kilo. Ini penting. Bila kita nak buat FCE, we need to understand our job demand of the worker. This one another job demand dia ni, dia punya demand, housekeeping 40% of the day, attending to any spillage, dusting, room tidy. So occasional squatting, occasional repeating arm use, range of reach for ground level 90 cm. Other duties, for example, maintain stock level of what, consumable, non-pharmaceutical. So range dia, the range ni macam mana reaching dia tu. Reaching dia berapa jauh. So you need to come up with the centimeter berapa jauh. Occasional climbing 2 steps. Occasional carrying up to 5 kilo. 5 kilo, sedentary lah. Sedentary work. Ni ada satu kajian. The more you off work, the more chances, the slim chances, this is a negative punya relationship lah. Kalau RHO, dia punya ni negative relationship. So you tengok, kalau dia off work 1-2 days, dia punya chances untuk kembali dia lebih tinggi. Kalau you tengok 24 this one months lah, 24 months, 2 tahun, chances dia untuk kembali dia slim. Ini probability of return to work. So off work ni you kena tahu patient ni berapa lama dia dah bercuti ni kan. Kalau dia lama sangat sampai 24 bulan, 2 tahun, chances untuk kembali kerja makin susah lah, makin slim lah percentage dia. Step 2, you need to understand client perception of ability to work. You kena, patient ni, you kena tanya dia macam mana how your ability to work. Dia punya personal perception. dia punya competency and value. Apa value dia? Kadang kita kena tanya juga patient ni, dia value tak kerja dia? Kan? Macam mana dia punya keupayaan? Macam mana keadaan diri dia ni selamat ke tidak kembali kerja? Work readiness ni, kalau dia ni kadang-kadang kita boleh guna laser ni kan, kalau musculoskeletal problem ni. So you have to know client ni, our client ni kan. Sometimes client ni, I pernah dapat case ni. Dia datang cuma untuk untuk dapat good, dapat worst feedback daripada kita supaya dia tak boleh kerja berat. Ya, kan? Kerana dia nak mengelak kan, bila kita test orang lain, dia seronok tengok. Bila test dia, muka monyok, buat tak kuat kan. So, you need to understand step 2 ni, client. Step 3, ability measurement. Ability measurement can be range of motion, static posture, hand sensation, dexterity, extremity strength, lifting, pushing, pulling strength, physical endurance, mood and quality. This one more on the ability yang bukan job specific punya performance measurement. So all these things lah. So depend on the condition. For example, stroke case. Kan, kalau stroke case ni ada effect dia punya cognitive kan. Probably dia punya cognitive, dia punya mood, dia punya strength of the upper limb, lower limb kan. Dia punya balance ke. Ni static posture tolerance, boleh tak dia berdiri, duduk, dia punya balance macam mana. So all these things is a ability measurement. Then after that, for example, range of motion, body range of motion also, these are physical abilities. For example, functional movement of the trunk and the extremities, reaching, touching hands to back of neck and middle of back, bending or stooping. So ni kalau ada issue of the punya trunk, kan? This general ability you can assess. Then they are tolerant to the static posture of sitting and standing. Standing dia berapa lama dia boleh. Sitting. So, according to punya job demand lah. Kalau job demand dia ada melibatkan standing posture. So, to what extent dia punya tolerant static posture ni. Physical strength, you can use this BTE, Work Simulator ni pun ada. Boleh assess static and dynamic strength. Physical endurance, either step test or treadmill. Physical endurance also kita boleh check dia punya guna treadmill. And hand dexterity function, we can use Jepson-Taylor hand function. So all these things regarding physical ability. Mood effect, dia punya mood, dia punya effect, by your observation. Probably dia ada issue of motivation or that, kan? Condition, if there is a higher function issue, kan? The traumatic brain injuries ke dan sebagainya, kan? So we can use this Allen Cognitive Level Test. Ini example dalam lab tu, nampak tak alat ni? Alat ni work simulator. Alat ni boleh assess physical ability. We can assess dia punya isometric strength dia. lifting, all that, kita boleh access. Ni cara dia access. So dalam physical ability ni, dalam BTE, kita boleh access dia punya static strength, isometric strength dengan endurance dia. Endurance ni, kalau talking about endurance ni, berapa minit lah dia boleh buat. So kalau kita set 5 minutes untuk dia buat gripping, exercise gripping, kita boleh check dia punya ni. Okay, another thing, that one physical ability, this one more on performance, work performance measurement. So in this work performance measurement, we need to determine which available work performance measures best stimulates the demands of the current of target job and task. So when you want to do work performance measurement, you have to identify what are the work simulation that reflect the client job, the client job task ni. So banyak dekat dalam work lab tu ada Walpa, ada Joule, semua tu simulate dengan job task, TIPAL, So dalam Walpa TIPAL ni, dia guna method time management standard. So for example like sportman, katakan kita nak tengok performance individu berlari. So kita based on what? Based on timing kan? Timing katakan lari 100 meter, kita nak hantar bertanding dekat ASEAN. So kita kena ambil time dia. Mestilah time dia lengkungan the best score, janganlah jauh sangat kan. Katakan Rabuan Fit ni, ASEAN punya, dia yang masa dia yang terbaik. Sekarang ni dah ada seorang lagi yang ambil alih masa dia tu. So orang mesti nak hantar pergi ke bertanding ke luar negara ASEAN, dia mesti ikut masa yang terbaik. So time, they're using method time measurement. Then another one they're using power, angle. This one yang guna Joule, BTE primers ni. So they're using frequency and then using intensity, strength. Dia ada loading ni. So because when we work, all these things ada terlibat lah involved. All these things can be MTM, frequency, intensity, strength. So in terms of work performance measurement, for example like this, this primer yang kita ada ni, kita akan test dia punya maximum strength, dan kita buat training, kita buat assessment, endurance dia, berapa lama dia boleh tahan buat ni, endurance. So you tengok simulation, pergerakan dia. Contoh kalau orang tu kerja buat pergerakan cycling, hand cycling, so kita boleh guna alat ni. Katakan dia kerja sebagai mekanik, so kerja dia buat assembly secara lain kan, baring. Dia guna spana ni, so kita boleh bagi resistance kat ni. Bagi resistance kat sini, so dia akan bekerja guna tools ni lah. So lebih kepada wrist extension, wrist flexion, shoulder extension, shoulder flexion, pergerakan So boleh kita gunakan this one. In term of lifting, so kalau kerja dia melibatkan lifting, so kita boleh stimulate dia. Stimulate lifting teknik untuk the case ni. Lifting berapa banyak berat. So kita boleh measure guna load, tapi depend on the job demand dia. Kata dia angkat 25 kilos. Janganlah kita lebih. Kita buat FCE ni in term of lifting lebih daripada 25 kilos. We want to match the current job demand. So this one guna Walpa work sample. They call it the whole body range of motion. So this one simulate activity yang melibatkan standing, kneeling, fingering. So dia guna finger dia, melibatkan vision, size discrimination, all that. So this is example of apa dipanggil job specific assessment. This one Joel, we have this one. So this Joel ni dia boleh buat lifting from floor to waist, from waist to shoulder, and dia ada different load. You boleh buat apa dalam keadaan kneeling, standing, stooping. So this is specific apa punya assessment. So ada contoh macam terang ni, dia involve flexion, standing. So all these things is more on job specific assessment. TIPAL ni Therapist Portable Assessment Lab. So kalau kes yang melibatkan upper limb, dia guna work, task dia melibatkan upper limb dan juga dia punya perception. So we can use this TIPAL assessment lab. So after you do physical ability and also job specific requirement of the client, so the step 5 is that you need to summarize the test data. Summarize they call it the test data tu, apa yang you dah test dengan patient tu. Then you need to summarize and record dia punya perception ability, dia punya himself perception ability, then dia punya actual ability, then dia punya performance, then dia punya work data. Work data ni ada scoring lah. Sometime point, sometime score dia punya timing kan. Scoring dia lah, work data ni. Then you need to convert raw data to standard scores using normative or MTM criteria. So selepas you dapat semua ni, then you need to summarize your observation from the test. You need to convert. Sometimes the raw data, there is a standard scores. It can be normative or method time measurement criteria. Normative ni is norm population. So dia actually alat tu dia dah test dengan certain population. Certain population, for example, intellectual disability population, cadet, high school ataupun So dia ada norm. So kadang-kadang you need to convert your data tu, data yang dapat semua ni you kena convert to the standard score or to the method time measurement criteria. Method time measurement ni orang yang skill. Saya akan terangkan lebih lanjut lah. Method time measurement criteria, this is the people who are skilled at that particular job, who work 8 hours. So dia tak ramai tapi orang tu skill. So dia punya benchmark. Benchmark ni dia compare, dia convert data tu to the either they want to use norm or MTM. Norm ni contoh macam you assess intellectual disability client. For example like Down syndrome ke kan. Takkan you nak compare dengan MTM, orang yang mahir kerja tu. You mesti compare orang yang sama group population tapi dia bekerja di competitive employment katakan kan. So this is the thing lah. Then analyze your finding. This is very important. So you need sometime you need to analyze the client performance ni to the job requirement. Sometimes dalam DOT, the dictionary of DOT ni, dalam ni dia ada job demand yang standard. So sometimes you need to check whether the person according to the DOT. So your result lah, you analyse whether the client score tu according tak dengan job demand of the OT. Ini dekat Amerika dia buat. And then you need to explain the difference between in client's ability and motivation. Sometimes patient ni dia tak ada motivasi, dia cuma nak report yang dia tak boleh kerja sebenarnya. Dia nak mengelak lah, manipulatif. So you need to explain whether the client's ability and motivation does not meet competitive standard. Whether they not meet due to the client ability or their motivation. Kan? Kadang-kadang klien ni not because of the client, not because of their ability, but also dia punya behavior, motivation dia, dia tak ada motivasi. Then you need to match between diagnosis and symptom. Sometimes the diagnosis not the punya symptom pain tu not relate to the diagnosis. Okay? Kalau katakan dia ada slip disc kan, dia punya simptom mesti dekat belakang dan juga dia punya calf muscle, dekat dia punya thigh. But tiba-tiba dia cakap dia sakit dekat forearm dia. So you kena betul ke diagnosis ni, simptom dia. And then agreement between the symptom and the client perception. You kena agree simptom tu memang betul apa yang klien cakap lah. That's why to avoid manipulative, you be manipulated. For example like when lifting kan, dia tak boleh angkat, dia kata dia tak boleh angkat berat sampai 5 kilo, 10 kilo dia tak boleh angkat. Tapi you tengok dia punya pulse rate ni tak meningkat. Dia punya muka tak merah, dia tak berpeluh kan. So dia cakap dia tak boleh dah. Sebenarnya mungkin dia ada masalah motivasi kan. Dia ada benda yang dia nak dia very manipulative of that. So you kena analyze this thing. Degree of agreement between client's perception ability to work and his or her demonstrated physical and cognitive abilities potential to work. Sometimes klien ni ada potensi untuk di rehab. Kita buat intervention kat dia boleh improve. So you boleh plan dia kan untuk intervention. Because there is something that can be done. You tak boleh sometimes say that patient cannot return to work. Sometimes they can improve. Therapists compare the client physical and cognitive ability with actual performance demonstrated during work simulation or task component testing to determine the level of agreement. So you cannot agree client physical ability and cognitive ability with actual work performance. So you kena tengok keupayaan klien and dia punya cognitive ability. Sometimes they can be improved. So the last part, which is very important, the recommendation. So there is 3 things you can recommend for the client. One is that kalau dah lepas buat result apa semua, then you should, first one is that you concern the client who can return to either full duty or limited or light duty. Kan patient ni boleh return to work with either full duty or light or limited or light duty. However, parameters of light duty, definition of limits of light duty on the result of test data, and to include what the individual can do as well as what he cannot do. So you tak boleh tulis limited or light duty. You kena come up with the parameters. Parameters based on intensity dan juga dia punya frequency. For example, like this one, the patient, katakan client you can go back to return to work. Kalau tak ada issue, full duty. Kalau limited, apa parameter dia? So, this one. So, this one biasa ni medical certificate lah. Tapi kalau OT, kalau guna FCE, this is the thing that you need to report, recommend. Contoh, able to lift and carry 8 kilo between hip and chest height. Able to lift 5 kilo from below hip height. Able to squat to reach low level item. Using this as alternative posture to bending. Able to stand for frequency 20 minutes. Then must sit for 5 minutes. Able to walk 30 minutes, then must sit for 5 minutes. So, this is more specific. Jangan buat macam ini. Yang left side ni salah. Kalau you buat FCE, janganlah very general macam ini. For example, no lifting heavier than 5 kilo. Avoid repetitive bending lifting. Avoid repetitive use of affected body part. Avoid prolonged standing, walking. This is tak spesifik. Dia kena ada parameter. Parameter dia in term of load, intensity dan juga frequency. Timing, ada time. So, tengok. Able to lift and carry 8 kilo between hip and chest height. Jangan no lifting heavier than 5 kilo. Ini tak mahu. Ini biasa doktor yang bagi. Kita kalau buat FCE, kita need to be very specific. Session 2, address clients who are not ready to return to work but who may be bound to work standard intervention such as education or work conditioning and hardening. Some client ni, dia after you do FCE, you believe that from your analysis, dia punya performance ni, we can improve with intervention. For example, education. For example, like they're lifting not proper body mechanic, kan? We can educate them how to improve your lifting technique ni. So kena buat education. Sometimes we can buat conditioning and hardening. We use our Pak Latan ni. Supaya dia dapat improve dia punya performance ni. This is second part you can recommend to the client. Third part, clients who do not appear to have potential to return to target level work or pre-injury can recommend pre-vocational testing and vocational exploration of job within the client physical demand and capability. Some of the client, when you do analysis or that, memang dia tak boleh kembali kerja. Kerja dengan dia punya job demand ni. So, you kena buat pre-vocational exploration, vocational exploration testing. Dia tak sesuai dengan keupayaan dengan kerja dia tu. Job demand dia tu. So, you boleh recommend this thing. So, dalam dalam lab kita ada, kita boleh access seseorang tu. So, kita boleh match, dia ada database 12,000 jobs, kita boleh match bila kita buat testing, dia punya aptitude, dia punya general education development. From that, we able to identify what are the jobs, similar, the job that, match dia punya aptitude dengan GED, dengan physical demand. Then kita boleh guide dia, buat apa yang sesuai untuk dia. Okay, Clara, ada apa nak tanya, soalan? Boleh tanya dulu. You all ada lagi kat sini ke?
Ada.
Okay, ada soalan yang tak clear tentang FCE ni?
Setakat ni okey, clear semua.
Yang lain? Yang jawab tu Husna. Okey, yang lain? Semua faham Bila nanti buat FCE, buat training kat lab, you lebih faham ni ya. Okey. Kita teruskan. Sorry. Okay. So case study ni kita buat MPT MPT case ni. So you tengok sini. Case ni dia ada amputee dekat dia punya wrist joint. So dia nak kembali kerja. So kerja dia ni lebih kepada welding. Welding elektronik. So tangan kanan dia ni. Tangan kanan dia tinggal dia punya, tak ada dah jari-jari apa semua kan. Amputee lah. Straightforward. So case ni selepas buat FCE, so I know the job demand. The only thing that he unable to do, dia punya job task dia involve soldering. Bukan welding, soldering. Ada kerja elektronik, betulkan TV. So dia ada dapat accident. So I buat modification dekat dia punya wrist ni, guna splint. So dia boleh sangkut kat sini. So from that, kita train dia. Untuk mahir lah. Mahir guna soldering ni. So dia boleh training, boleh kembali kerja yang dia minat ni. Betulkan TV, telefon ke dan sebagainya. So when you got this case, for example, first thing you need to answer dapat banyak information tentang kerja dia, kerja yang lampau, task dia, job demand dia. And then dia ni dah pergi pemulihan. gone to the rehab, terapi dan sebagainya. So keadaan dia macam mana? Majikan dia boleh terima ke tidak? Sebagainya lah. So very important this one. Then you need to have referral from physician. Rujukan kan? Medical clearance and client consent. So medical clearance ni very important. For example, you tak nak bertanggungjawab. Kalau ada re-injuries, kan, doktor yang refer ni dia cakap apa, okay, patient dia dah boleh, dia punya besi semua dah okay. Kalau dia tak bagi consent, kalau you buat, tiba-tiba anything happen to the case, you are the person yang responsible. And then client need to give consent. Nanti saya bagi contoh. Contoh, client consent ni, saya akan bagilah. Okay, ni medical clearance. Ni medical clearance ni contoh, kita kena dapat clearance daripada doktor lah, yang dia ni boleh buat testing FCE ni. Sebab kadang-kadang testing FCE ni intensif, intense. So kadang kita nak minta rujukan daripada doktor ni, do not exceed heart rate berapa, do not exceed blood pressure, do not live greater than berapa. Kita tak nak nanti disalahkan. Physician mesti bagi kebenaran, doktor lah, kebenaran. Dan kita kena highlight ke doktor lah. Ada patient consent kat sini. Patient consent pun kena ada. Nanti saya bagilah kat mana letak. So legal aspect, you need to, before you do apa ni, FCE. This one, ini case untuk yang, kalau case yang amputee itu taklah kita check kan. Kalau yang mengangkat berat semua ni, lifting, this is contraindication. Contraindication, kalau BP dia 200/100, you cannot dapat do FCE. So kalau BP dia systolic 180/200 and diastolic 90/100, you need to have extra caution. If dia patient, klien ni uncontrolled medical condition or ada pregnant, you tak boleh buat. Ini is a contraindication. Unstable or acute stage of illness or injury, tak stable lagi, acute stage, baru kena, kan, under age 18 or over 65 ni, you tak boleh buat ni. So I pernah experience pelajar saya ni, pelajar yang pregnant pula, pregnant masa buat praktikal, saya suruh dia test transfer patient, rupanya dia pregnant. Tak kena cakap lah kan, dalam UiTM ni you boleh berkahwin tau. Tapi kalau mengandung kena ambil cuti lah, bahaya buat praktikal. Sebaik tak jadi apa-apa. So another thing, you can use this American College Sports Medicine guideline, target heart rate. So depend on the age, client age, dia punya heart rate ni. Kita ni kalau buat testing apa ni FCE ni yang melibatkan high intensity, we have to measure dia punya BP dan juga dia punya heart rate. So heart rate ni ada target lah. So for example like me 220 tolak 56 57 times 0.70. So lower limit dia berapa? Higher limit dia. So heart rate, you measure heart rate heart rate dia. Nanti dekat lab dia kena train. Macam mana kita nak measure heart rate ni. High risk for client having BP, stroke, heart condition, all that. So this is a contraindication. So protocol should follow. First step, you ambil history taking, client physical functional status, dia punya range of motion, strength, sensation, and all these things lah, physical ability. But depend on the condition lah. Janganlah. Contoh condition macam ini. Kan dia nak buat FCE. Macam mana? You kena check ni, dia punya residual muscle. Strength dari sini apa, the strength. Ini kes yang masuk buat apa, masuk dalam mesin habis tangan right hand tinggal dia punya limb residual limb kat sini, dia punya wrist nak habis. So patient ni mohon lesen, nak mohon lesen memandu. Nanti saya ceritalah. Case. Then second step, you need to analyze dia punya job demand. Physical demand of work related task, kan? Dia punya posture, duration of the activity, static or dynamic, specific tools used, how they are handled, forces needed to use them, load handle, and etc. Ni kalau macam kes macam ni, macam mana? So kalau kalau yang amputate ni, kan, dia standing, katakan dia perlukan standing walking. Kan ni dia kalau kita katakan kemalangan. At the same time also you can recommend apa ni, ni apa ni. So I recommend guna orthotic ni splint ni kan. Bincang dengan orthotics, they provide this thing. So this thing can help patient standing, walking, and sebagainya. So you need to understand information of the job. Sometimes the job dalam description dia tak ada. Sometimes you need to have information from DOT, from employer, apa dia punya job task dia tu. Then sometimes we need to use visit to the job site. Barulah kita boleh buat FCE ni. So case study, dia ni kerja dekat Sony. Dia ni amputee above knee, right-sided amputee, transfemoral. So transfemoral above dia punya joint ni lah. So dia guna IP prosthesis. Dia punya job demand dia, stooping, standing, kneeling, squatting, climbing ladder, walking. Then you buat test dia. Test dia, standing tolerance dia macam mana. Dia punya job ni banyak standing kan, buat assembly. So guna kaki pasu ni macam mana. Boleh tak dia bertahan? Apa dia dalam guna jol ni dia ada protokol dia. Dia ada standard dia in term of intensity dengan frequency. So berapa lama dia boleh tahan stooping kan? During assembly, stooping. Boleh tak dia guna kaki pasu ni dengan dalam keadaan stooping, kneeling, boleh tak dia buat kneeling, climbing ladder, Kita test dia on the climbing ladder ni. Sebab dia punya job demand dia ada melibatkan climbing. So kita test bila guna kaki pasu ni. Sebab kita nak recommend dia kembali kerja. Ada melibatkan hand, eye and full coordination. So dia kerja general worker technician ni kan. Kemudian cross leg floor sitting, buat aktiviti, dia punya hand function apa. So kita fokus kepada dia punya injured part je lah. So dalam Joel ni, dia kita based on the method time measurement, symptom and functional tolerance. So if the person able to complete 6-minute test 3 times in one day, so the person can work at constant. Constant maksudnya more than 2/3 of the 8 hours working. And then symptom dia no pain. Kalau dia ada minimal to no pain indicator, ada sikit pain, so dia boleh buat kerja dalam keadaan frequent. Kalau dia dapat complete 6-minute test 2 times in one day of FCE. Kalau dia tak boleh complete of less than 2 minutes and significant pain, so dia rare lah, dia tak boleh kerja. Rare ni. So this is the protocol lah, based on method time measurement, symptom and functional tolerance. So when we do FCE, we shouldn't do our testing. Our testing ni, kita kadang terlebih test. Our testing when duration of testing of the test adverse consequences. Kalau kita over test, not according dia punya job demand, dia dapat adverse consequence from the testing. Macam dapat soreness, blisters, injury. So kita tak nak over testing. How to avoid over testing? Watch and listen closely for signs of excessive effort or pain. Kalau dia ada complaint pain, dia assign excessive, do not allow any unsafe action. For body mechanic, kita tak allow. Mula satu kita tahulah dia ni ada masalah body mechanic, but second time kita kena educate dia. Signs of cardiovascular endurance, heart rate more than 70%. Ini over testing. When you get answer, stop. So we should test not the same activity but alternate. Lifting ke carrying, break if needed. So during FCE, avoid over testing. Determining of safe test endpoint. Successful completion of the test protocol. So kalau you nak ending you punya test point ni, kita nak tending parameter ni based on protokol tu dah habis. Kata protokol tu 6 minutes 2 times. I mean success lah. Client himself or herself refuse. Kadang-kadang client ni refuse. Dia dah letih. Tapi kadang-kadang I take a short break, then I continue. Bagi semangat kat dia. Kalau dia punya cardiovascular more than 70% daripada initial heart rate, then you should stop. Client reaching the mechanical ceiling of safe performance. Kadang dia dah tak safe. Dia fall body mechanic. Kalau dia angkat katakan carrying, dia dah goyang, dia dah tak stabil, you kena stop. Itulah dia punya ending point. Parameter katakan load berapa, pergerakan jauh dia berapa, kan? That one based on the distinct endpoint. Ini case sama juga. Case amputee. Tapi dia diabetic. Dia diabetic. Left-sided below knee. Transtibial. So amputee, back pain. Dia kerja dekat Econ Safe. So physical demand required. Lifting. Waist to waist, floor waist, shoulder. Below 10 kilos. Sitting, walking, sitting. So this dia punya job demand. So kita test dia. Standing tolerance dia macam mana, overhead reaching dia, lifting from floor to waist, from floor to waist, carrying, balancing, carrying bilateral. So you kena report. Dalam JOL ni, dalam saya cerita tentang JOL lah. Report ni dia ada 3 part. Forceful task, positional tolerance dengan repetitive tolerant task. So dia ada 3 part. By the end, what are your recommendation? Ada example report ni saya akan bagilah. So forceful task ni melibatkan yang heavy lah, lifting, carrying. Positional ni macam standing, kneeling. Repetitive ni benda yang repetition. Repetition. So apa dia punya result, So homework saya dah masukkan dalam folder untuk week 2. This article you need to go through. This is your homework. There is 4 article. You read this all the article lah, dalam homework. Bacalah malam. Then kita ada lab untuk esok Rabu dan juga hari Khamis. Okay. So ada soalan tentang FCE ni kelas?
Tak ada.
Apa cakap buat ni? Ini misi mesti ras ni. Betul lah. Ras. Okey, kalau you
Ras line tak bagus, doktor.
line tak bagus. Okey, kalau kita
Ras ada je sebelah saya ni.
Okey. Kalau kita dapat patient stroke katakan. Patient stroke kan. Right sided hemiplegic. Dia kerja sebagai tukang masak. Dia kerja sebagai tukang masak. So, what are you going to do to FCE ni? Alia? Mana Alia? Okay, Alia. What are you going to do with the case? Doktor refer untuk FCE. Return to work.
Buat evaluation info dulu.
Apa?
Buat pre-evaluation info dulu. Untuk tahu dia punya job demand dia dengan dia punya demographic info dengan medical info dia. Lepas tu job description dia.
Yes.
Kemudian baru kita buat client punya perception of ability untuk dia bekerja. Lepas tu dia punya occupational competency dengan value dia.
Value dia kan. Dia tu macam mana dia seronok ke or that kan. Job description dia tu very important. in 8 hours, what she do? Kan? 8 hours she do, for example, adakah dia punya job tu involve lifting, involve apa, menggoreng ke, memotong ke, for how long, kan? So frekuensi dengan intensity tu kena tahu. Kalau angkat, berapa berat dia angkat, kan? Kemudian buat apa lagi Alia? Dan kita assess dia punya physical ability, kan? Dia kena stroke, kan? So standing, you know lah, tukang masak mesti dia punya apa, positional tolerance dia mesti bagus, kan? Dia mesti standing. Macam mana dia punya physical ability in term of static tolerance. Boleh tak dia tolerate berdiri lama, balance dia macam mana, kan? Ini physical ability dulu tau. Physical ability. Kadang-kadang patient ni dia dah undergone terapi, dia dah buat rehab dah. The last ending place for you for apa ni? To do is to do apa ni, FCE untuk kembali kerja. Kan? Kadang-kadang dia dah buat dah fisioterapi, occupational therapy. Tapi sekarang ni nak kembali kerja. Kan? So you cari apa ni, dan you buat apa functional specific job untuk dia lah. Depend on dia punya job tu. Kalau dia ada melibatkan lifting, periuk dan sebagainya, kan? So you kena test lifting dia. Lifting dia from floor to base to shoulder. That's why very important that you need to understand, you kadang-kadang kena buat visit tempat kerja dia. You nak dapat clear picture ni, kan, kerja dia macam mana. Selain masak, mungkin dia ada mengemop lantai, mencuci dan sebagainya. So you kena apa ni, really understand dia punya job demand, dan you test dia punya with the job specific punya demand. Barulah you dapat tahu yang dia ni boleh ada 3. Sama ada dia balik kerja dengan light duty, bukan light duty, dia ada dia punya parameter lah, modified, dia boleh kembali kerja dengan modification, ataupun limitation, kan? Ada limitation yang kita bagi parameter dia. Yang kedua, perlu ke kita buat pemulihan, rawatan pemulihan lanjut pada pesakit ni. Kita buat conditioning, buat hardening. Ataupun yang ketiga, apa dia yang ketiga ni? Fatin? Mana Fatin? Fatin Liana. Ataupun yang ketiga, kita?
Ya, doktor.
Apa yang ketiga recommendation?
Performance measurement.
Mana buat measurement? Dia dah buat FCE dah, kan? Recommendation yang ketiga ni. Recommendation yang kita, Fatin, kita buat dia tak boleh kerja, tak sesuai. Kerja dia tukang masak ni, sebabkan dia punya keupayaan dia, dia punya apa, kecederaan dia tu. You kena cadangkan vocational exploration, pre-vocational assessment, kerja yang lain yang sesuai dengan dia punya keupayaan dia, limitation dia. Itu ada 3 benda lah kalau kita buat FCE. Ya. Alright kelas, lepas ni ada kelas lagi ke?
Ada.
Tak ada? Tak ada Husna?
Ada.
Kelas apa?
Ada doktor.
Kelas apa?
Kelas Dr. Kesan. Kelas geriatrik.
Sulaiman.
Kelas apa?
Kelas geriatrik.
Okay. Alright, class. Ni, probably next week kita buat face to face lah. Lagi bagus kan? Okay. So jangan lupa homework, baca artikel. Next lecture saya akan randomly choose you talk about that article. Okay, see you all. Selamat berbuka puasa.
Thank you,
Thank you,
doktor.
doktor.
Thank you, doktor.
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 Okay, bye.